I love Civil War. And I also got one thing to say about it. So, this
A-T-T-A-C-K, attack, attack. A-T-T-A-C-K, attack, attack, attack.
is now canon, kind of. A giant Black Widow is now canon in the MCU. I don't know if you can see that, but that's a giant Black Widow picture I made back in 2013. I'm still making them. And now I get to see a giant Black Widow in an official Marvel Cinematic Universe movie. I mean, look, it's obvious that I got a Giantess fetish. Why the fuck else would I have an Attack the 50-Foot Woman poster here? I'll tell you why I have it.
Because I like giant Scarlett Johansson. Because it's hot.
Exactly. Now, on with the review. Hi everyone, I'm darthbriboy, and welcome to my review of Captain America Civil War. Well, it's official. The Captain America trilogy is probably the best superhero trilogy of all time. Oh yeah! It's better than the Dark Knight trilogy. For one reason. The third installment is fucking amazing. Now, to be fair, The Dark Knight Rises, after multiple rewatchings of that film, I started to sort of notice some of the flaws. Not entirely, I still think The Dark Knight Rises is an amazing Batman movie. But do I think Civil War is a far better third chapter to the Captain America trilogy? Oh yeah. And the Russo brothers deliver on so many aspects. One, the drama between the Avengers, the way they tie in all the collateral damage that these guys have done over the years, the way you see Tony Stark living through the guilt of it all. He's full of guilt, he's full of regret, he's full of anger. This all makes sense after Age of Ultron because, in a way, his main goal since becoming Iron Man was to protect people. And the way they've addressed so many different aspects of this new Superhero Registration Act, which is known as the Sokovia Tribunal, which they're saying, oh, it's going to be a part of the United Nations, and it's going to be a UN-specific group now. The Avengers are going to be an international group. Now, to some that may sound great on paper, but if you take a goddamn poli-sci class and see some of the shit the UN did when international incidents happened, you're going, so you're telling me that you're going to let the UN, who can be pretty fucking incompetent sometimes, control the Avengers when they fucked up during the Rwanda genocide, the Darfur genocide, and several other incidences. Yeah, that's a great fucking idea. So obviously, Captain America is very suspicious of this. And Iron Man is just so full of anger and regret. He's like, nah, we gotta do this. We gotta do this. It's the only way. The only way the Avengers are going to continue existing is signing this damn bill. And Captain America's like, no, we can't do this. We have to have the freedom of choice. We have to have the right to choose. We can't allow the government to control us. And it's pretty interesting when you look at Captain America throughout his movie series. I mean, in the first film, here's a guy who's just doing what the government said, essentially both being a figurehead while also being a patriot. Now, you can argue the cause was different and more black and white back then. Whereas in this movie, The Winter Soldier, he's more pessimistic. He's more jaded about what he's doing. He's questioning what he's doing. And then after Civil War, it's all that pessimism's put up to the max. And unfortunately, everyone else is just a victim of this bill now. The superheroes do fight. It does become a civil war. You see the conversations between Iron Man and Captain America about what's right and what's wrong. And you can tell there's a great scene when Tony gives Steve the pens that Roosevelt used to help the Allies during World War II. And he's like, nah, some could have said this led us to war. And Tony's like, come on, Steve, this is an olive branch. And you can see in Robert Downey Jr.'s face that Tony Stark is just sick of it. He's sick of the bullshit. He's sick of innocent people dying on his watch. And you have Captain America on the other hand going, we have to take responsibility for our actions. We have to understand that we may not be able to save everyone during these incidents. And Tony's like, fuck that. I can't deal with that anymore. And then it becomes a choosing of sides with Iron Man and Captain America. And the main thing is that while this movie is incredibly action-packed and you do see the Avengers doing their thing, it doesn't change the fact that throughout this film, when you see Captain America and Iron Man's team fight each other, that the emotions are there, and it's a great fucking fight. That airport scene, oh my god, that airport scene is so good. So fucking good, man. And another thing I absolutely loved in this film was how they handled Spider-Man, and I loved the youth part of it. And pretty much, I hate to be sounding like a Sam Raimi trilogy fanboy, but I'm going to sound like one in this instance, that the way they introduced Spider-Man in the MCU is almost exactly how I would have reintroduced Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man to the MCU. Although I would have done it a little bit more differently, but that's a different story for a different time. The point is, Tom Holland is perfect as Spider-Man. He is the Spider-Man at this point. Despite how little screen time he has, because let's keep it real, this isn't his fucking movie. It's not called Captain America Civil War, separate colon, Rise of Spider-Man. Called Captain America Civil War, so it's going to primarily focus on Captain America. Just this film is more than an international piece of legislation. It's about friendship, it's about family, it's about trust, it's about, you know, what happens when close friends and allies keep secrets from each other. What happens to those relationships over time? What happens to those relationships in the visceral moment? What can someone have the potential to do if they find out one of their closest friends lied to them about something important? Or what can happen when they're so ideologically split that these ideological differences can no longer be discussed through diplomacy or peace or calm civil Oh, by the way, Black Widow. Okay, Tumblr. Can you shut the fuck up now? I think the Russo brothers made up for Joss Whedon's fuck-ups. Okay? I think you can be pretty happy now. Because Black Widow is as badass as Jason Bourne and James Bond. Okay? Black Widow's a fucking beast in this movie. Especially the opening action sequence. Black Widow's just fucking people up. Like there's a scene where she's fighting Crossbones, and Crossbones drops a fucking grenade, and Black Widow's like, BAM! Just punches motherfuckers out. And I'm like, yes! Woo! As a Black Widow fan who's been saying give her a fucking movie, it's 2013. Marvel, I heard your fucking announcement. Make that the first movie in Phase 4, or maybe push back the Inhumans a little more to a Phase 4 movie, because, let's keep it real, no one gives a shit about the Inhumans. I want a fucking Black Widow movie. Give me it. Final fight between Captain America and Iron Man. Oh my god. I was getting flashback to Star Wars Episode 3, man. Good parts of Star Wars Episode 3, not the bad parts, but the shit where it's Anakin and Obi-Wan with the, you're my brother, Anakin. I loved you. Okay, why don't we just take that scene here to show you the level of emotion that I was feeling when Captain America and Iron Man fought each other.
You were the chosen one! It was said that you would destroy the Sith, not join them! Bring balance to the Force, not leave it in darkness!
Although here's the difference between that fight. I was conflicted because I understood where Tony was coming from and I understood where Captain America was coming from. Although, to be honest, I was kind of siding more with Captain America in the movie because I sided with him in the comic book. In the comic book, Tony Stark's side is clearly portrayed as the villain. That it's very anti-government regulation in that movie. Now, it makes sense because that was a commentary on the Patriot Act. And this is still a commentary on legislation like the Patriot Act and just extreme regulations in general. Oh, by the way, General Ross in this movie, fucking fantastic. Although, who the fuck made him Secretary of Defense or State or what? Who the fuck made this guy Secretary of State? Who looked at the guy who created the fucking abomination and said, hey, well, let's get that guy Secretary of State and stuff. Okay, so if it's not clear by now, Captain America Civil War is a clear 10 out of 10. Get off your ass, shut off my video, shut off any review of this movie, get your ticket, reserve a motherfucking seat, and enjoy one of the best movies of 2016. Live long and prosper and have a nice day.